To catch large swordfish with a long hand line, fishermen often have to go through an arduous journey in the middle of the vast ocean, where giant swordfish swim in the deep water. This work requires not only endurance but also extensive experience and absolute patience. Before setting out to sea, fishermen carefully prepare long fishing lines that can stretch up to tens of kilometers, with many sections strung with large, sturdy hooks, baited with small fish such as mackerel, herring or fresh squid to attract swordfish. The fishing boat is fully equipped with ice boxes to preserve the fish, GPS locators, fish finding sonar and satellite communication equipment. But the fishing process still mainly relies on human power and traditional fishing lines. When arriving at the fishing ground, the captain chooses appropriate coordinates based on fish migration, warm water currents and weather. Then, the fishermen take turns dropping the fishing lines into the sea, each hook dozens of meters apart, for hours to cover a large area under the water. The fishing lines are secured with white buoys and flags that float in the wind and waves for identification. After a period of waiting, when they feel an unusual pulling force or the buoy shakes, the fishermen begin the process of pulling the lines by hand, an extremely hard and dangerous job, especially when the hooked swordfish becomes aggressive and struggles violently under the water. The rope is constantly jerked, forcing the pullers to use all their strength, sometimes having to take turns pulling for hours to bring the fish to the surface. Large swordfish can be more than 3 meters long and weigh over 300 kilograms, often creating very strong resistance. Once the fish has appeared under the water, the fishermen use a hook with a sharp iron tip to control the fish, while stabbing the hook into the fish's body to quickly finish it off, avoiding it breaking the line or causing injury. After the fish is pulled onto the deck, it is quickly tied, bled and stored in a cold compartment. The entire process must be carried out precisely and in coordination with the crew. Danger is always lurking, because a tail flick or a sharp sword stab from a dying fish can cause serious injury. There are days when fishermen have to pull hundreds of hooks but only catch 1 or 2 fish, while on other days they have a big catch, with swordfish hooked en masse, filling the deck with spoils. Catching swordfish with a long hand line is not only pure labor but also the art of hunting in the middle of the ocean, where people face majestic nature and the most powerful creatures of the sea. They must understand the habits, seasonal movements and survival instincts of this fish species to be able to conquer them. After each trip out to sea, the fishermen's bodies are exhausted, their hands are blistered from pulling the rope, but their eyes still shine with pride when they conquer giant swordfish. A symbol of strength and endurance in the vast ocean behind each swordfish pulled aboard is a long story of sweat, blood and the resilience of the seafarers to overcome challenges. Large swordfish fishing trips often last for days, even weeks, in the middle of the ocean with no shore in sight, surrounded only by wind and waves and vast blue water. During the day, fishermen bask in the scorching sun to check their lines, change bait, and mark coordinates. At night they take turns keeping watch, listening to every vibration of the fishing buoy to react in time when a fish bites. There is no room for negligence, because with just a small mistake, the swordfish can break free, break the line or drag the entire equipment into the sea. Sometimes they have to struggle for hours in storms, when meter-high waves continuously crash against the hull of the boat, making the job of pulling the line even more difficult. Some experienced fishermen also shared their experience that when pulling the fish close to the surface, they need to be extremely careful because swordfish often make extremely dangerous final attacks. The sharp tip of the sword can pierce the entire hull of the ship or cause serious injuries if not controlled in time. On many ships, the deep cuts left by the tip of the sword are still clearly marked on the wooden planks like vivid trophies. The fishing line used in this type of fishing is also very special. Often made of super durable synthetic parachute fiber, resistant to great pulling force and harsh saltwater environments. Some large modern ships have mechanical line winding support, but most veteran fishermen still believe in the traditional hand pulling method, because they believe that only the real feeling from the hand can help them accurately judge each movement of the fish below the water surface. In addition, the distribution of hooks along the line is also a technique, which needs to be calculated to avoid tangling the line or causing the fish to bite the bait but not get hooked. Each bait hook position and fishing depth must be suitable for the biological characteristics and hunting habits of swordfish, a species of fish that swims extremely fast and has a very smart ability to avoid traps. Fishermen must also comply with strict regulations on the size of fish allowed to be caught and the sea area allowed to be fished. In order to protect the ecosystem and ensure long-term benefits for future generations. When the last swordfish is put into the cold compartment, when the sun gradually sets behind the horizon and the ship is heavy with spoils, the fishermen can breathe a sigh of relief. They sit together on the deck, sipping tea or small glasses of wine, telling each other about the moments when the fish almost fell into the sea. The moments when they felt exhausted but still did not give up. In that moment, no one complained of fatigue. No one complained about hardship, because they understood that catching swordfish is not only a job to make a living but also a source of pride. A testament to the courage and extraordinary endurance of the children of the sea. The giant swordfish are brought to land, becoming a valuable food source and a highly valued commercial product on the international market. But the true value lies in the journey that the fishermen have gone through to catch them. It is a journey between life and danger, between fierce nature and human will, between the waves and the belief that each long rope pulled by hand is a thread connecting people to the deep ocean, where courage is tested and the greatest stories of a fisherman's life are recorded when the ship returned to port. The large swordfish were brought ashore by crane with the support of a team of stevedores. People and traders crowded the wharf to witness the huge spoils just brought back from the ocean. Each swordfish was weighed and priced on the spot, some weighing up to 300 kilograms, and were purchased at sky-high prices because of the excellent meat quality and great commercial value, especially in markets such as Japan, the US and Europe. However, long-time swordfish fishermen all understand that the money they receive is the result of blood, sweat and tears poured into the ocean, which is not easy. On their bodies are often thick calluses on the palms of their hands from pulling the rope for many hours continuously, wounds caused by fish jerks, and tanned skin burned by the sun and sea salt. But they do not complain or lament, because swordfish fishing has become ingrained in their flesh and blood, becoming an indispensable part of the identity of coastal people. Generations grew up by the waves, following their fathers out to sea from a young age, learning how to distinguish fish streams, How to hook bait in the most attractive way. How to keep the line taut enough to avoid breaking when the fish jerks hard. For them, every time a swordfish is hooked is a battle, where people and fish compete with each other in strength, will and patience. In the most tense moments, they clearly feel every vibration transmitted from the line to their hands. Every strong struggle, every turn of the swordfish trying to find a way to escape. Sometimes, it takes hours to conquer a single individual, but it is those moments that deepen the value of the sea profession and the pride of ocean hunters. Although fishing technology has developed strongly today, with many automatic fishing line systems, ultrasonic positioning devices, hydraulic line winders, many fishermen are still loyal to the traditional hand-pulling method. Not only because of familiarity but also because they want to maintain the spirit and identity of the profession. This fishing method, although hard, has little impact on the marine ecosystem, reduces overfishing and is highly selective, targeting only fish that meet standards. This not only helps maintain sustainable fish resources but also demonstrates the fisherman's responsibility to the ocean, the source of life that has nourished them for generations. Moreover, in the stories told at the port, in fishing village meetings, swordfish hauling trips are always the most exciting topic. Individual names, scenes of fish pulling nearly capsizing the boat, times when they almost lost their lives because of big waves or were stabbed by swordfish. All are like a living epic passed down from generation to generation, nurturing the spirit of the sea in every child of the coastal region. Swordfish are increasingly difficult to find due to the effects of climate change. Overexploitation and environmental pollution, making hunting trips more difficult than ever. However, fishermen still do not give up. They continue to go out to sea, continue to cast the line, continue to pull by hand, with all their perseverance and belief that the swordfish are still somewhere out there, waiting for someone worthy to conquer. For them, the ocean is not just a place to work, but a place to challenge and prove their survival skills. And the journey of catching big swordfish with long lines and hand pulls will continue to be written. Like a heroic song in the vast, never-ending waves every sea season, swordfish fishing boats are repaired. Each reel, each hook, each marker buoy is checked. The fishermen prepare carefully as if they are about to embark on a life or death journey. On shore, their wives and children see them off with familiar eyes, both worried and hopeful. Because everyone understands that going out to sea to fish for swordfish is not like everyday fishing trips. It is a game with nature, where only those with courage and a deep love for the profession can stick it out to the end. During the days at sea, fishermen have to face many harsh challenges. Sometimes the sky suddenly darkens. Storms come, carrying high, vertical waves. In such circumstances, keeping the fishing line from breaking, not letting the fish escape, while ensuring the safety of the boat and people is not easy. There are moonless nights. The sea is as black as ink, with only the light from the bow lights and the fishing buoys flickering in the darkness. Every time a fish is hooked, cheers break the silence of the night, followed by hurried footsteps, rough hands gripping the rope soaked with seawater, pulling each stroke as if pulling the whole ocean towards them. When the swordfish begins to get tired, its tail wagging weaker, the fishermen take advantage of the opportunity to bring the fish to the surface. The spear thrusts must be precise and decisive. Because if they are slow for just a second, the fish can struggle and dive out of sight. Sometimes the swordfish is hit but still tries to rush forward. dragging the rope along and causing the fishermen to lose their balance, slipping on the slippery deck. But no one lets go. For them, each fish is a precious trophy, a worthy reward for their efforts. When the fish is controlled and brought safely onto the ship, everyone breathes a sigh of relief, sweat and seawater soaking their shoulders. After that, they quickly process the fish according to the process, drain the blood, cool it immediately to maintain the quality of the meat. There were fish so big that they had to be brought into the cold storage using pulleys and winches. Night fell again. After everything had calmed down, the fishermen sat on the deck, looking up at the starry sky, listening to the steady sound of waves lapping against the ship's side. Everyone had a quiet and proud feeling in their hearts. They didn't need many words. Just looking at each other was enough to understand they had just conquered an ocean monster with their own hands and will. Some people compared the profession of pulling swordfish with a hand line to a traditional martial art of the sea, where each pull of the line was a move. Each confrontation with a swordfish was a dramatic battle of wits. The scars on the hands, on the shoulders, or the broken nails from tightening the line in the moment of life and death, were all vivid proof of the fisherman's courage. And perhaps that was what kept them from leaving the profession, even though they knew it was much harder, more dangerous and more precarious than other professions. Whether in storms or under the blazing sun, on old or modern boats, swordfish hunters still persevere to pull the line every day, not only to make a living, but also to preserve a unique culture, a tradition associated with the vast ocean. They are the silent warriors of the sea, people who live amidst the storms, hardships, but always hold their heads high, because they know that each swordfish pulled up is a feat, a proof of courage, resilience and absolute loyalty to the ocean. For generations, the trips to hunt for big swordfish with a long hand-pulled line often leave a deep impression on the fishermen's minds. Not only because of the great achievements, but also because of the unforgettable memories. Sometimes the life and death moments. There are times when swordfish suddenly rise close to the side of the ship and use their long, sharp swords to attack, breaking buoys, tearing the ship's hull, and even stabbing the leg of the person pulling the line, causing blood to flow profusely, requiring first aid in the middle of the sea. That is why each ship always has a medical kit, emergency rescue equipment, and a safety rope wrapped around the waist of the person pulling the line when facing a big fish. Every action on the ship at that moment must be precise to the second, because a minute of delay can mean injury or death. Young people new to the profession often have to spend many years learning and observing experienced fishermen to fully understand the unwritten rules of swordfish fishing. They learn to listen to the sound of the line whistling through their hands, to look at the waves to guess the fish, to feel the heavy or light pull to know if they were caught in seaweed or real fish. They learned from the times when the line cut their hands until they bled, from the times when they failed to pull in the fish and had to regret it all night. And then, each of them gradually matured, becoming experienced fishermen, able to confront a fish that weighed hundreds of kilos alone in the rough sea. Each trip out to sea was a challenge. No one knew for sure how many fish they would return with, whether they would encounter calm waves or fierce winds. But everyone still boarded the ship with a determined gaze and the belief that the sea would not disappoint those who knew how to be patient. On the small deck, there were no soft beds, no hot rice or a roof to protect him from the cold wind. Only hastily hung hammocks, meals with fish sauce, and fitful sleep amid the roaring sound of the engine and the constant crashing of the waves. But in the midst of that hardship, the fisherman still kept an optimistic smile. Because they found meaning in each pull of the line, each time the fish struggled, each time they defeated themselves in the middle of the ocean, when the last swordfish of the trip were put into the cold storage. When the fishing line was pulled back and the boat turned back to shore. That was when the emotions in their hearts surged the strongest. Some sat silently watching the waves. Some called their wives and children to report their safety. Some took pictures of their spoils as souvenirs, because they clearly understood that behind each fish was not only income, but also a symbol of fighting spirit, the crystallization of the whole group that had gone through hardships together to bring back worthy results. And then when the boat docked, the big swordfish were brought up. Everyone was amazed. People do not only see the fish, but also see the journey behind it, the journey of people who risk their lives to preserve a traditional profession. An immortal beauty of coastal life. In the age of mechanization, when people gradually move away from nature and seek ease. The fact that there are still fishermen using long ropes to catch swordfish is a valuable testament to their perseverance and respect for nature. They are not simply fishermen, but storytellers with their own hands, with scars, with each sweat-soaked rope, telling a legend that continues in the vast ocean, where people and swordfish constantly challenge each other in a heroic and forever vibrant dance of survival. And so, year after year, one generation of fishermen follows another, passing on their experience, bravery and love for the job from the first pulls under the red dawn on the ocean horizon. Children grow up with the sound of waves, the sound of fishing lines whistling in their father's palms, hearing stories about giant swordfish struggling violently, about dark stormy nights when they had to tie themselves to the ship's mast to avoid being swept away. Those stories, at first just passionate stories told around the fire, gradually seep into their blood and flesh, planting a dream in their hearts. And then when they grow up,